Okay. Has anyone ever had their mouth up to a fire hydrant before? Well, it's first time for everything, because buckle your seatbelts. We're going to be going for a ride. We're going to do Proverbs 1 through 9. We're not going to miss anything. I was working on my dissertation for about 12 years, and come to find out, Proverbs 1 through 9 is a story of a father teaching his son the most important lessons in life. 12 lessons. We're going to learn them. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of what? No, it's the beginning of knowledge. That's in chapter 1, verse 7. Chapter 9, verse 10, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. You've got to pass the 12 tests in order to get the wisdom. So we're going to look at those 12 lessons of wisdom first. I handed this out in the seats. It's the new college we just started. There's 15 books up here, the missing years of Jesus of Nazareth, what he was doing from age 12 to 30. We found the answer. It's actually in the Bible. Those are 15 books here. You can have them for free, one each, please. So here we go. By the way, if you want the free copy of the book, the pre-book that's coming out, you can text 66866 and then just type in the word Lamplighter. I'll tell you about this at the end. Are you guys ready? Here we go. Proverbs of Solomon, son of David, king of Israel. The word Proverbs is the word for rule. It's the sun ruled the day and the moon ruled the night. The book of Proverbs are the words that are to rule our lives. The book of Proverbs aren't these short, pithy statements. There were 3,600 Proverbs that Solomon wrote, but he only put a few hundred in the Bible. They're the most important, categorized, prioritized words in the universe, and he wants the son to make sure that he knows them if he's going to attain to wisdom. Before he started the book of Proverbs, though, he gave us this idea of what the Proverbs would be about, and it's found in Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verses 8 through 14. It says the preacher, the word preacher is the word for an arranger or collector. He's collecting the most important words in the universe. The preacher arranged many Proverbs with great care, and he put them in three categories: words of delight, words of truth, and words of wisdom. And he says this: these prioritized, collected words of the wise are like goads, fastened like nails, given by one shepherd. The word one shepherd occurs only 4 times in the Bible, and it's always messianic. And Jesus himself in John chapter 10 claims to be, guess what? The one shepherd. Here he is appearing in the book of Ecclesiastes out of nowhere, and he's saying that these words of delight, truth, and wisdom are going to be like goads, fastened like nails, to become our worldview. And then he gives us this warning, my son, at the very bottom: beware of anything beyond these. The curriculum, the books that our children read, the mentors that they're involved in, if they're taking in things that are outside of the words of delight, words of truth, and words of wisdom, he says, beware, they will wear you out. It's simple as this. It's crazy to think that our children can be taught under the tutelage of secular teachers and secular curricula and believe that all will be well. Bad company corrupts good morals. It eventually will corrupt anybody that is going to be taking in anything outside of words of delight, truth, and wisdom. Our children need the knowledge of God and the mind of Christ, because without him, Jesus said, we can do nothing. Back to the Proverbs. Son of David, king of Israel. If I was writing this, I'd say king of Israel first, and then I'd say I was a son. But Solomon knows what he's saying here. In order to be a king, you have to first learn to be a son. The story of Proverbs is written with a preface here. It's the introduction. And I don't know if you've ever had biblical theology before, but this to me is a picture of beauty. It starts off with a statement to know wisdom and instruction. The word instruction in Hebrew is the word for correction. So we're going to use that word throughout. Correction. To know wisdom and correction. At the very bottom, the closing remarks, he says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and correction. This is a beautiful framing device. Knowledge, wisdom, and correction in the introduction top, and knowledge, wisdom, and correction at the bottom of this introduction. In between, what he's doing, he's framing what is most important. You have the words of understanding and the words of the wise. And in the very center, you have 4 different type of children. The number 1 is a simple person. He's going to grow in discernment or prudence. He is going to have discretion. The simple person in Hebrew is a person who is empty-headed. He is thoughtless. He's gullible, easily enticed. That's the definition of a simple person. We all start in life as a simple person, but we don't want to stay a simple person. The way you grow out of being a simpleton is to gain knowledge. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. The fear of man will keep you captive. And so you grow as a knowledgeable youth, then you become a persuasive, wise person, and then you understand that discernment is very costly. And so they're the 4 people that Solomon presents to his son. Grow from being simple to a knowledgeable youth to persuasive wise and have costly understanding. I've put it in this chart because there's 3 more children that are introduced. And these children are a simple person that will not grow in discretion, but he will remain a gullible, thoughtless, naive person that's easily enticed. And as a result, he moves from being simple over to the left-hand side to becoming a mocker. That's what happens to children that will not retain the knowledge of God in their lives. They will not fear God, but what will happen is they'll start to mock and scoff after those that are righteous. The mockers then turn to become fools, and the fools know nothing. They believe anything. On the other side, you have the simple gain knowledge, become wise, they become discerning in everything, and they become the children of God. Lesson 1, here we go. Okay, that was the introduction. Now we go for the lesson 1. And by the way, you don't have to take notes. I'm gonna give you this for free. Lesson number 1 is listen to your parents. My son, hear the instruction of your father, forsake not the teaching of your mother. The word hear in Hebrew is the word for obey. The word instruction is the word for correction. My son, if you're gonna grow, obey my correction. Everything in life is about being corrected. We are constantly, all our lives, our thoughts are being corrected. Our direction is being corrected. We're being corrected by the knowledge of God. Lesson number 2, choose your friends wisely, verses 8 through 19. My son, this is what it says in Proverbs. If sinners entice thee, consent thou not. Stay away from those who entice, flee. In 2 Timothy chapter 2, it says, flee youthful lust. We are having a pandemic of pornography right now among our children. It's everywhere. 99 out of 100 people that I interview, it's one of the questions that I ask, and over 99% of the ones that talk to me truthfully, they have an addiction to pornography. There's a pandemic that's far greater than the pandemic of a health pandemic. Stay away from those who entice. Flee youthful lust, but follow after, and this is key, follow after righteousness, faith, love, hope, and peace with them who call upon the name of the Lord out of a pure heart. One of the things we practice at Lamplighter is calling on the name of the Lord throughout the day, not just in the mornings for devotions, but throughout the day. Stay away from those who take advantage of the weak, it says, and stay away from those who are greedy of gain. This is powerful to teach our children, don't take advantage of weaker people. This starts in the sandbox. Teach our children to always look out for the underdog, because when they grow up, they will always be a defender of the weak, and they will also be included like programs like we just heard with over there with the Passion. I love that. Lesson number 3, how long will it take you to turn? Proverbs 1, 22 and 23. How long, you simple ones, will you love simplicity? How long will you mockers delight in your mocking? How long, you fools, will you hate knowledge? The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. You will either fear man or you will either fear God, and that will determine the amount of knowledge that you have to live your life. When people are big and God is small, people will always make small decisions because they'll always be hiding and fleeing. So he says here, turn at my reproof. There's correction in almost every single chapter, 1 through 9, except for 1. Correction, correction, correction. Turn at my reproof, and what will happen? I'll pour out my spirit to you, and I'll make known my words to you. This is a very powerful verse. This is what God promises. If you turn at reproof, how many love to be reproved? I hate it. I'm 65 years old. I still hate being proven wrong. But I'm learning to embrace it, because those moments where I'm proven wrong and I say, okay, God, what are you trying to teach me? See, Jesus taught, agree quickly with your adversary. And if we'll learn to do that, God will pour out a spirit and he'll make his words known to us. That's a promise. Our children need to get this, but they can't get it unless they see it coming from us first. Lesson number 4, if then, my son, if you seek wisdom more than silver, gold, and hidden treasure, then you'll understand the fear of the Lord, find the knowledge of God, and understand righteousness, justice, and fairness. The word righteousness is talking about what is morally right, justice, what is legally right, and fairness, what is relationally right. These are amazing promises. You will understand the fear of the Lord and find the knowledge of God. Why in the world would I want anything less than the knowledge of God? If I have the knowledge of God, guess what? I have the answers to the universe. I have the answers to any health crisis. I have the answers to everything. That's what our children need. That's what we need. We need the knowledge of God, not the knowledge of men, not theories, Then wisdom, I love this, then wisdom will enter your heart and knowledge will become pleasant to your soul. It takes time to reach this, but you have to seek with all your heart. You have to seek more than silver, more than hidden treasure, and God promises that knowledge will become pleasant. You will delight in it so much you can't stop. Then wisdom will protect you from the corrupt speaking, enticing man, and the smooth-tongued, flattering woman. Lesson number 5, remember, my son, forget not, if you keep love and faithfulness as close companions, then you'll be rewarded with a long life, peace, prosperity, and favored by God and man. What else could we want? This is an amazing promise. You will get long life, peace, prosperity, and be favored by God and man. And by the way, if you're only favored by God and not by man, something's wrong. You have to be favored by both. Jesus grew in wisdom and stature and favor with God and man. If you trust in the Lord, you know this verse in Proverbs 3. If you trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not unto your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge him. The word knowledge in Hebrew is know him intimately. Then he will guide your paths. And if you give back to the Lord a portion of your blessings, verse 9, then your barns will be filled and presses will burst with new wine. And if you don't despise, catch this, I always wondered, this doesn't make sense. Don't despise the chastening of the Lord. He's given me all this stuff, and all of a sudden he inserts this negative and punishment. Don't despise the chastening of the Lord. That doesn't make sense. No, it makes perfect sense, because when God blesses us in this way with all of these blessings, they blind us and we become apathetic. And then God has to correct our ways because we've been blinded by our blessings. And he says, then you'll be able to enjoy God, and he'll be able to enjoy you. For whom the Lord loves, he corrects, even as a father and the son whom he delights. And what did he say on this earth? This is my beloved son in whom I take what? Pleasure. Folks, we need to take pleasure in our children. Our children need to know. God spoke from heaven so that everybody heard him say, this is my son. Number one, he identified him. He was his son. And then secondly, he identified and said, I take pleasure in him. My dad was from the South. We were from New York. He moved up there. He had a big Southern accent. He was kind of embarrassing to me in front of my friends because, he had the rebel flag up in the backyard and all of that. And he would come, he was an iron worker, and he'd come to all my basketball games, and he'd come dirty and filled with all kinds of smelly oil and stuff like that. But he was always there to all my basketball games. My dad worked hard. And one day I stole the ball and I made a basket, and my dad stood up with his construction outfit on. He goes, that's my son, that's my son. And I was like, oh, Dad, please don't do this in front of everybody. You know what? If I knew this, then I would look and stop with the ball in my hand, and I'd say to everybody, and that's my dad, that's my dad. There's a wisdom interlude here, Proverbs chapter 3, 13 through 20, and it says, happy is the man who finds wisdom, and he pays a price for understanding. Grace is free, but wisdom is costly. Listen to this. She's more precious than rubies, silver, gold, and anything you can desire. If this is true, why in the world do we spend so much time educating our children in things that don't really matter? She gives length of days, riches, honor, pleasantness, peace, life, and she's a tree of life. By the way, this is the first time the tree of life is mentioned since they were banished from it. It's mentioned 3 times in the Bible, in Genesis, here in Proverbs, and again in Revelation. God is opening the door to the tree of life once again for those that will seek with all their heart like treasure. Happy is everyone who courageously and steadfastly holds on to her. This is what our children need to understand. Pursue wisdom. I can't believe this. If this really is true, long life, riches, honor, pleasantness, peace, life, who in the world would turn that down? Lesson 6, benefits of fearless faith and dedicated determination. My son, let not these truths depart from you. Guard wisdom. Don't lose your vision of what will happen. Don't lose the vision of length of days, riches, honor, pleasantness, peace, life, and the tree of life. Then she shall be life to your soul, and you will receive favor. You will walk safely. Your foot won't stumble. You will lie down. You won't be afraid. Your sleep will be sweet. You'll sleep like a baby. You will not be afraid of sudden terror like pandemics. The Lord will be your confidence and guard your steps. And these benefits come with 6 responsibilities. Don't withhold good from those to whom it is due. Don't say to your neighbor, you'll help another time. Don't devise evil against your neighbor for your advantage against his disadvantage. And don't strive with the man who has done you no harm. Don't envy those who prosper through ill-gotten gain. And don't choose any of their ways. This is amazing. God has laid out through this story of a father teaching his son the most important principles in life. These are real, practical, down-to-earth, everyday common sense principles, and they're so easily forgotten. The first two, I think, were the most important ones. Obey your parents, obey and listen to their correction. Right now, I'm mentoring a young man who I think is going to marry this girl. This girl she's manipulative. She's controlling. She's sensual. And this young man can't see it. And if he marries her, it's going to ruin his life. And his parents have tried to talk to him, and they have had the best relationship in the world, but as soon as he turned 21, for some reason, he thought he doesn't have to listen anymore. And this guy is looking like he's going to marry this girl, and she's going to ruin his life. It is so important that our children learn at a young age that God has given mom and dad a very important responsibility to guide them. Lesson 7, coming of age, the price of romance. Now things start getting good. This is midway, by the way. This is midterms. My son, get wisdom, get understanding. Wisdom is the principal thing. Get wisdom, and with all they getting, get understanding. Whenever you find a repeated word like that in the Bible, you know something's up. The word get in Hebrew is the word for pay a high price for. Again, grace is free, but wisdom is costly. It's going to cost you something. If you pay the price first, pleasure will follow. If you follow pleasure first, you'll pay the price afterwards. Pursue wisdom romantically as a pricey priority. I love this. Pursue wisdom romantically. Love her, prize her, exalt her, embrace her. And if you do, she will honor you, favor you, and exalt you. That's beautiful. What do you do with wisdom in public? Be romantic with her. Let other people know that you're in love with wisdom. By the way, Jesus claims to be the wisdom of God. Don't forget, take fast hold of correction. This word correction keeps occurring over and over again. Folly's intoxicating influence. Beware, though. This is, again, midterms from chapter 4 to chapter 5. If you go near the flirtations of the flattering woman and heed not correction, you will incur the loss of your virtue, valor, value, vigor, and vitality. You will lose everything that you've worked for. Then you will say, how come I hated instruction and my heart despised reproof? I didn't obey the voice of my teachers, nor incline my ear to them that corrected me. To avoid this loss, stay away from the intoxicating influence and embrace of the loose woman, and be intoxicated with love with the wife of your youth. I don't know where your marriage is. My wife and I have been married for 42 years, and it is a miracle we're still married, and it's only because we took a vow that said, till death do us part, and neither of us are willing to die. We have been in counseling for over 25 years, and we're still getting counseling. We are in this for the long haul. I'm going to make this work. And I'm going to show her and prove to her, if she hasn't already seen it, that I am intoxicatedly in love with her. And that's the only way you're going to beat folly's enticing. You shall die without correction, and great folly you will go astray. Guess what? 523, that word astray there, it's the same word for intoxication in Hebrew. Drink waters from your own cistern. Because when you're dry, it's so easy to want to get your needs met from somebody else. Lesson 9, Proverbs 6. This threw a wrench in everything. I'm like, this doesn't make sense. This is about co-signing a loan for business. How does this fit in the story? If you have put up security for a friend, if you've struck a hand for a stranger, the word stranger, guess what, is the word for enticing, flattering harlot. If you're in business dealings with someone of unknown character, the Bible says, deliver yourself, flee, get out of there. Deliver yourself like a trapped gazelle. The word gazelle in Hebrew is the type of animal that's the only animal known to man that if you trap it, it will kill itself to get out. God says, if you're involved in business relationships, he's been dealing with relationships up until now. Now he's dealing with business relationships. If you're caught in a business relationship with someone of unknown character and it looks enticing, flee, get out of it. Even if it's going to cost you everything, get out of it. Lesson 10, more correction. It's time to grow up. My son, forsake not, bind your father and mother's commands. Reproofs of correction are the way of life. Get used to it. Folly is relentless. She's coming after you with her flattering lips, beguiling beauty. Stop lusting after her. Verse 25. This is in chapter 6. The game is on. The stakes have been raised. She is now turning from seductress to stealth hunter. Lesson 11, cloaked character. Unless you remain intimate with wisdom of the wife of your youth, Mistress Folly is coming to get you. She no longer waits. This father's teaching his son what's going to happen in real life. We've seen it. She no longer waits in her house for the unsuspecting to come her way. She now sets traps to ambush on every corner. She attacks at night when the sons of Adam are most vulnerable by cloaking her character with twilight, evening, black, dark night. She caught him and she kissed him. And she says, I'm religious. I've been looking for love. And I found you. I will give my entire self to you, body and my soul. Don't fall for it. It's a trap. Run. For there are many wounded in her wake, and the house is the way to hell, going down to the chambers of death, and many mighty are already there. She looks at you and she says, I think you're my soulmate. Run. It's a trap. Then there's a wisdom interlude. When I was studying this, and I got to chapter 7, I felt like throwing up. I was done. And then I got to chapter 8, and was like, oh, praise the Lord. Some breathing room. Choose my correction, she says, wisdom says, and choose my knowledge rather than choice gold, for wisdom is better than rubies, and anything you can desire cannot be compared to her. That's what the pursuit of wisdom is all about. Fools are invited one last time. Only a fool would reject her offer. Wisdom reintroduces the theme of the fear of the Lord. In contrast, loving what wisdom loves results in riches, honor, enduring wealth, righteousness, and the inheritance full of treasures. Obey correction, be wise and be blessed, and you will obtain the favor of the Lord. Lesson 12, the epic battle between wisdom and folly. Chapter 1, the simple mockers and fools are invited to know wisdom and visit her. In chapter 8, the simple and fools are invited. The mockers are excluded. In chapter 9, the mockers and the fools are excluded. The door is closed. It's now the simple's last opportunity. This is going to blow your mind, but this is one of the greatest devices in all of Scripture. Wisdom wrote this in a mirror image. It's backwards. Everything that wisdom does in the first section, folly does in the second section. She's an imposter. Wisdom works and does everything. She offers baked bread. She offers mixed wine. Folly offers stolen waters and hidden bread. It's always that adrenaline rush to keep you into sin. What wisdom offers here is free. What folly offers there is costly. We started a college as a result of what you just saw.
The world as we know it is changing. Suicide, riots, abortion, hate crimes, gender confusion, historical revisionism, political division, and moral corruption. This is what characterizes our culture. But the cultural crisis is not the real problem. These are simply symptoms of a fallen world, a world that doesn't know right from wrong or good from evil. Each year, millions of students graduate unprepared to navigate the temptations and influences.
Oh, okay. That's all right. I'm going to end with the story. We'll look at that another time. I'll put it online. You can go to our line and see the video. It's powerful. End with the story. Friend Tom in New York City. You see, you're either going to fear the Lord or you're going to fear man. And Tom had a problem with fear, and he told me that. And one day he was walking down through Central Park, and he heard the screams of a young girl. She was about to be raped, and Tom ran the other way. But he couldn't live with himself, and he's been dealing with fear, and he finally said, okay, Lord, even if this costs me my life, I am going to help. And he ran there, and he saw what was happening. This man was trying to take off this young girl's clothes, and he went for it. He tackled him. And next thing you know, there was a scuffle, and the guy got up and started running. And Tom started running after him. He didn't even know why he was running after him, because it was over with, kind of like. But he kept running after him, and he didn't catch him. But on his way back, the bushes were there, and the girl was on the other side. And he said, are you all right? He's gone. And she didn't say anything for a moment, but you could hear her crying. And all of a sudden, she said, Dad, is that you? We have to fear God more than man, and when we do, God will allow us to be the protectors of our children. God bless.